Hey guys, welcome back to Stories from Reddit, r/entitledparents. Our first story is My son is gluten and dairy free. So all of you are too. So this story was told to me by my brother when I was home visiting. It happened in 2015 at the peak of the gluten free craze. To clarify, B, brother, K, kid, EP, entitled parent, me, yours truly. TLDR at the bottom of the post. At that point in time, my brother was pretty heavily involved in scouting and was serving as senior patrol leader of his troop. Essentially, he was the leader, well, the kid in charge of all the planning and organization. I had been a scout in the same troop, and during that time, all at that time the adult leaders were a group of older Navy veterans. Between the time I finished with scouting and my brother started getting involved, the older adult leaders had been pushed out and replaced with a group of upper middle class parents. Now, once people reach a certain level of comfort in their lives, there can be a tendency to see shadows on the wall and make them out to be phantom problems. This was certainly the case with these parents. The camping venues became severely limited. None of them wanted to camp outside of walking distance of warm showers. The troop was essentially regulated to backyard camping unless one of the parents decided to shake it up and live out on the wild side for a weekend. This, among other problems, had taken a lot of fun out of scouting. Now, while I was in the living room of my parents' house, I heard my brother close the door and walk pretty quickly to his room. He's a quiet guy, and it was pretty easy to see that something had upset him. Me, hey B, what's going on? B, had a camp out planning meeting with one of the parents. Didn't go well. Me, do you want to talk about it? My brother began explaining what had happened. The troop had taken a bunch of new, younger boys that year. Their parents had insisted on becoming more involved in the troop leadership. One parent who was especially problematic, they had a son who apparently fell on the autism spectrum. The kicker, he had never had a formal autism diagnosis. His parents self-diagnosed him based on his behavior. EP and her son fell in the gluten-free, casein-free diet. She believed that so long as her son was on the diet, his autism wouldn't manifest. Spoiler alert! The diet is junk science. There really isn't a study to support gluten-free, casein-free diet. Now, my brother and I aren't monsters, though there was no formal diagnosis. We aren't the kind of people to argue. And what you want to eat is your business. Problem was, EP was being really pushy about her kid's diet. EP. B, as you know, K is on special diet for his autism. And I just wanted to run through the camp out menu with you. B, no problem, EP. We've worked with scouts that have dietary restrictions, including vegetarian and kosher. Normally, we ask that they pack their own supply of food separate from the main menu because the other scouts might not be familiar with their dietary needs. I can help Kay carry and prepare the food you pack. We usually also cook one meal together for everyone following the restrictions so that the other boys can understand different dietary needs. I'd be happy to work on that menu item with you. EP. Okay, that's not acceptable. I don't want Kay to feel left out. You need to provide a gluten-free, casein-free menu for everyone. That means no wheat products, no dairy products, and I don't want any of the other boys bringing snacks that'll make Kay feel left out either. So when you're doing the shopping, keep that in mind. Anyone who's been on a camping trip can see the difficulty here. No sandwiches, no pasta, no tortillas, no cereal bars, no oatmeal, no milk and coffee. It goes on and on. It's doable with substitutes, of course, but to people who aren't used to them, they can be really off putting. And that's one of the last things you need on a camp out. As eating enough calories is really important, throw that into the mix with a bunch of teenage boys, and it's a recipe for disaster. Anyone who has worked with kids can see why this is problematic and would lead to bullying. B. EP. Most of the other boys aren't used to the following a special diet. And they're probably not going to be happy if we can't make things like breakfast burritos and s'mores. And they're going to blame that on Kay. Like I said, I'm happy to help Kay, but we can't design a menu with only him in mind. EP. Well, they better learn to be more tolerant. I'm telling you what will happen on this trip, and this is final. B. EP. This is really... EP. Don't argue with me. Either you accommodate Kay, or the camping trip is not happening. Conversation is over. So long story short, the camp out ended up happening. My brother and the other scouts planned a gluten-free spaghetti bolognese dinner, and they told EP that Kay was welcome, but under no circumstances would they provide a special menu, and Kay would need to pack his own meals. Of course, this sent EP into orbit, but there wasn't much that could be argued with at this point. I wish this story had a more satisfying ending, but Kay continued with the troop. In all honesty, a really good thing, because Kay wasn't at all a bad kid. And EP continued to harass my brother about Minuta. TLDR, EP self-diagnoses their kid with autism, puts him on special diet, and expects everyone around him to follow that diet too. This would piss me off. Telling me that I had to follow a special diet? Hell no.